Goodbye, Xena. Break her legs. Stop. Back it up. Stop. There. Let's take a look at that.
Why don't you and I work together?
So?
When Fates Collide was perhaps my favorite episode of season 6. Primarily because I felt that a lot of the elements of the stories that had been told through the first 5 seasons and into season 6 somehow reached an interesting conclusion with the parallel world of Fates when Fates Collide.
You want to help me conquer the world?
Why not? We'd make an unstoppable team. I'd love to join forces with you.
Some enemies are harder than others.
Oh, I count on it.
I came to Rob and RJ with a very specific belief on their series. Their series touched me deeply because it was about a woman's search for redemption based on something in her life that she felt was a bad choice or wrong. So she was righting a wrong for herself. And that period is commonly referred to as the evil Xena period. And I came to Rob and RJ in a room and looked at them and said, what I'd like to do is have Xena realize that all of that was necessary, as opposed to hating that part of herself, to look at life as a balance of all things. And what I think so many people do is sit in judgment about the choices they've made instead of realizing they all led them somewhere. And the warrior princess that Xena became would have never come about had there not been the evil Xena period in her life. And for her to see both of them, I proposed an alternate timeline in which she never became the evil Xena and chose a different path, which then never led her to the warrior princess, which it didn't. And as I started thinking about that, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to do each character that way, a twist on all of their fate and choices in life? And if I remember correctly, Gabrielle had always wanted to be a playwright and dreamt of going to Greece and being a famous playwright. So I thought, well, we'll give her that dream. Give Xena the dream she had in Destiny when she wanted to be an empress and rule with Caesar. Give her that dream.
My emperor.
My empress.
That dream. But let's see what they're missing at the end of the day. So I made them both successful in what they thought they wanted career-wise and goal-wise, only to find out they didn't have each other, and that was the greater thing that was meant to be. So by that lesson, I was hoping Xena and everyone would apply to their lives sort of a kindness to themselves for realizing every step they made had a reason. And that's kind of how I pitched it.
If we talk about a parallel world, we have to talk about the intricacies of fate, which is what the story was about. And that intricacy of fate for me is that no matter what world you're in, no matter what road you're following, ultimately your destiny is going to end up being the same. And it was unfortunate for both Caesar and Xena to discover that their fates were not escapable.
Paying attention to and accepting all of the bad things that you, or actually the things that you call bad, and realizing they got you where you needed to be. And ultimately for Xena, where she needed to be was a person who recognized Gabrielle. And that's how being the warrior princess got her to recognize Gabrielle when she saw her.
In Fates, it's a different situation whereby Xena has been betrayed by Alti, who has wooed Caesar away from her.
May I introduce Alti, High Priestess of Rome.
And now she's going to experience her fate, which is the execution and crucifixion of her. What's interesting is that we're not aware that Caesar is going to suffer a similar fate. In that sequence, what we're doing, if you watch the sequence as it begins and as it plays, all of the movements, both between Xena being crucified or about to be crucified, are all done in slow motion sequences. And all the shots in the bedroom where Alti is seducing Caesar are all shot in slow motion, and the ones that weren't were slowed down again. Now, this is a trick that we've utilized many times, and in this particular instance, what I was hoping to give the sequence was a dreamlike, almost surreal quality. We've seen the death of Xena before. We've seen the death of Xena by crucifixion before. It's not a pleasant thing to watch, and I felt like by making it more ethereal, it took some of the pain out of it and gave it a dreamlike quality, which I thought was more intriguing. At the moment that it's revealed that Alti has the knife and starts stabbing Caesar, then basically the cutting goes into high speed. And we build and build and build and build in that sequence, every cut going faster than the one previous, in order to build the intensity and the ferocity until the sequence reaches its climax. And a very specific choice was made by me to mirror the execution sequence in Ides of March by having Caesar react to Xena's hammerings and having Xena react to Caesar's stabbings, which again pulls those two characters together in a very dynamic way. We see Caesar dying in a look of death. We see Xena on the cross before she's raised up, in a look of absolute pain and anguish on her face with her mouth almost frozen open. And then end the sequence with a very slow motion shot of Alti getting off the bed and a little piece of silk floating in the foreground. And you get to the end of that and you just gotta go, wow.
When we went in there, we realized now you have a specific timeline if you take off from Destiny. And I also started thinking, like, who was most interested in power in this show other than Caesar was always about power, and Xena, of course, in certain incarnations, and Alti was the other person who actually sought power in every form. And that's how we got Alti. And I also realized Alti was a better conduit between the two worlds. She was our mystic and our shamaness in the series, and she's the only person who, through some sort of mystical power, could get you to see both images in both lifetimes. So that's how we used her.
Alti! My powers have evolved, Xena. That glimpse into your soul, it showed me the other world.
Alti!
I saw just how strong I had become, and thanks to you, I'm just hitting my stride.
This isn't about you, Alti!
Oh, yes, it is. It's all about me and what I know. Your story will end with your playwright unable to save her fallen angel.
I think the thing about Alti that was interesting to me was everyone's lives were linked in this show. Caesar was going to crucify Xena in any lifetime. Xena was going to meet Gabrielle in any lifetime. And Alti was going to die because of Xena in any lifetime. This was a big surprise to her. She thought she'd finally won. And she'd conquered her own destiny, so to speak, just like Caesar thought he'd conquered his destiny by killing Brutus, who had killed him in the regular life, in the real life, I guess we could say. And yet that didn't work because his destiny was to die by an unexpected hand, was the irony of Julius Caesar's life. So here comes Alti, the trusted person he didn't suspect, just like Brutus was. Well, with Alti, she was going to die by Xena's hand. This time, she crucifies Xena and looks at her and thinks she finally won. Only to realize in the last second of her life that Gabrielle and Xena's love still was her demise, just like it was always meant to be. I absolutely think Xena had an effect on the way shows were later portrayed with women, especially women action heroes. They're just all over the place now. Even Tomb Raider, came afterwards. Alias came afterwards. Charmed, I think, even came afterwards. I don't want to misquote something, but certainly it's much more common now and accepted now, and women are kicking ass all over the place.
The danger. Her courage will change the world.
Xena, I think later it will be one of those retrospect shows that people realize how groundbreaking it was, because I don't know that they quite get it yet.